Hi, Warren Whitlock here with Thomas Mangum. Hi, Thomas.
Hey Warren, always good to
Hey,
be here.
hey, we're connecting again to talk about connections. And what's been on my mind this week is a little bit different approach to it. Really been thinking about how we connect networks together. Everybody I know is connected to everybody you know, even beyond anything we'll ever even know about. And it's something I think we've talked about before, that the power of the 6 pixels of separation, as Mitch Joel says, that you can, you can do business with somebody that your friend knows and refer to you, or maybe even your friend, to where your two friends do business and you don't even find out about it, but they're connected in that they know you, and the whole network benefits. All the rising tide rises all boats. And I thought it was about time we talked a little bit about if there's ways to do that, and then back to this idea that we keep coming up with whenever we talk about, hey, how much of something should you do? What order should you do something in? What's the right way? And what do you do when your gut instinct doesn't say, hey, this is the right way to do it? Usually I take the side of here's a system, and you take the side of something natural, and we come together with some of the same. But today I think we ought to apply that a little bit to connecting networks together. So you want to clarify or rebut or rebut? Okay, what say ye, Thomas?
No, I mean, help me understand because I'm not quite tracking.
Well, I left it open as usual. I've got a network. You've got a network. If I take the assumption that we're getting together here, and one of the things we're doing even on this show is we're talking about things that could benefit both of our networks, puts us in a good position of being the connectors. That's good. I mean, we have our selfish ideas. And even no matter how much we're just trying to help and not look for the immediate remuneration, we still have some concern. How do you tell whether or not you're doing enough of that? How I'm helping your network? Am I helping your network just by being a good guy and helping my network?
Well, okay, then I'll go off on what I think you mean by that because I'm not 100%.
I'm not sure what I mean.
Okay. Okay, good. So good. I mean, that's me. I'm gonna go right to the what I call the elephant in the room, which is the unanswered question, or the biggest question that I have. I think when for instance, two people getting together to collaborate and do a show like this, even if we were in the exact same market and we had the same group of people, that's still not true. That we have the exact same people that resonate with us. Because we say it on every single show, is that there are people that are meant to resonate with you, there are people that are meant to resonate with me, there are people that are not meant to resonate with either one of us, and there are people that might resonate with both of us. I think,
or it might be a harmony where they bring in another note that resonates with all of us.
possibly. I I come from a very much an abundance mentality, and I've always collaborated with people that, well, I seek to collaborate with people that do have the abundance mentality. And I think you used the term, what is it, the tide that raises all boats, something like that.
Right.
Is it, are we throwing out a question today of when you should do more of it and when you should do less of it?
Well, there is a simple way to look at it. Let's assume that we all have a boss. We have, people we are responsible to, even if that's ourselves, who are going to ask the question, hey, you went to another networking event. How many leads did you get?
Right.
Gosh, it sure seems like I was on the phone with Thomas's friend for a long time. I wonder if that'll ever turn into something. And there's some of those things where the gut instinct takes care of you. You just know you met this person, while standing in line at the grocery store, and it resonated right away. And whether or not you ever do any business together, your life is better for having met the person. And those are great. That's what we're looking for. what do you do when you're the guy who, like me, sometimes wonders, gosh, I went to that networking event, I was friendly to everybody, I just did this last week. Now that it's funny, I didn't think about this in setting it up, but I spent a couple of days last week volunteering to speak for a group of nonprofits here in Vegas. The guy in charge I knew was a good enough connection to make it all worthwhile, expert in things I know nothing about. So in helping him out, I volunteered to come down to the thing. Next thing I knew, I was registered for the whole thing, and I learned a lot in his class, but not necessarily that I set out to go learn. He was teaching how to write grants, and the big epiphany for me was, gosh, he talked about 9 process steps, and 6 of them I'm pretty good at, and the other 3 I would never do. I'd let somebody else do. So, and before that I thought, oh, I could write a grant if I ever decided I wanted to. Now I'm thinking, no, I need to collaborate. So that was a big epiphany for me, was well worth my time on that level. But, then I come home and think, gosh, I don't have a new client out of that. I may have met a couple of people that will make some good leads, but they're, a little bit different people. Totally shocked that when I spoke about social media and the people in the room were still at the stage of wondering whether social media was going to work at all. So it's a different kind of a crowd. I know enough to know that that's not going to be my full-time endeavor. At the same time, I get wondering, what possible good is there out of there? I believe in the serendipity of meeting these people, talking to them, met some, just excellent quality people that I, feel good about knowing. But do I follow up with them? Do I have a coffee? Do I come up with a pitch to sell them? What is the next step to do? And it may just be to say it's good enough the way that it is. But I think we all get into that mode sometimes of wondering, wow, should I, spend a lot more time with this group that feels good knowing them, or do I go and find a new group or a better source? And what can you do beyond saying you just really like it?
I guess my answer is very hedonistic.
Okay.
I think the more that you've gone through the motions of networking, and anyone that's in sales or you're running your own business or working on your own business, everybody knows what we're talking about with this, is that you initially are going through the motions. And there are some things that are pleasurable. I mean, gosh, you just wonder, it's like, wow, I have to do this to forward my business. This is so much fun. And then there are other things that you just do because, you've been told that you probably should do that for your business. And it comes, and very quickly, the things that you're doing because you feel that you have to do, you're going to ask the question a lot quicker of, what's the point? Why am I doing this? Or even helping other people. Let's use Zig Ziglar's classic quote: "You're helping other people get what they want, and you get what you want." And you hear a lot of new entrepreneurs say that kind of thing, and they're like, "Well, I got to go help. I got to help a bunch of people get what they want, so I can get what I want. But really, I'm after what I want. So the faster I can help someone get what they want, then I'll get what I want." And I'm like, "Well, dude, you're kind of messing up that whole formula in the first place." Anyway, separate topic. The question still comes up. The question still comes up, why the heck am I doing this? Should I continue to do this or not do this? This comes back to the hedonistic side. You've got to have, what is the ROI? There's always got to be an ROI. I believe in ROI, return on investment. The return of my emotional investment, my mental investment, my physical time, my cash, and things like that. And every one of us are going to have a different ROI. So I think it makes sense. If you're going to that networking event, if I'm collaborating with Warren Whitlock, if I'm writing a book, if I'm, you name it, brother, I mean, anything like that, what is the ROI from the event, from what you're actually doing? And you got to go with the answers to that question. Don't pretend and make it up. That's why I said be very hedonistic. Like going to events and all, I think you do have to be very hedonistic.
It's interesting because I'll take the don't be hedonistic approach to it and say a lot of bad decisions are made while we're we're on the third round. Should we buy the fourth round? Or, it's a lot more fun to go to this party than it is to go home and make sure the bills get paid. But when we get to that logical point of trying to look at it, I think it's okay. I think it's okay, and in a moment you decide something like that. And even that you definitely use more than where's the most leads and sales I can get from something, but where's the most pleasure, where's the most joy, those things that we don't measure in terms of dollars and cents, that we don't measure about in the moment, but long term, we know what our goals are, and some things like that. So yeah, I tried 10 different things last week. 8 of them felt good. 2 of them are right off the table. And then, I find out 6 of these don't look like they're going to work out quite as well as the other 2. Maybe I ought to focus on those 2. And I think it's when you step back and let go of we may be defining hedonistic differently. I define hedonistic as making a short-term decision, and I'm not even sure what words I would use to describe non-hedonistic, because I'm not non-hedonistic. I'm saying there's some balance in there, thinking long-term, short-term.
Well, I think it's good that you brought that up. Is my intention with using the word hedonistic is going with your innate. I think listening to your innate internal compass about what is right and wrong for you, and what feels good, what feels perhaps simple. The more time I spent on the earth, I found that the rules that have helped me in my personal life have helped me in business, and that there's nothing wrong with using that internal compass and saying, well, should I be doing business with this individual? All the business and logical and formulaic and systematic and process side says, yes, I should be doing business with this person. But what if, when I'm putting my head down on my pillow, I just say, I don't like this person. I mean, I just don't want to do business with this person. And sure, I'm sure someone could argue, oh, Thomas, that's fear. That's whatever. That's not a good business decision. And I say, bull. I mean, maybe for you, maybe for another individual that's listening, great. I'm just happier individual doing, using my gut as part of the decision-making process. And that absolutely ties right back into, should I be spending more time with this individual? Should I be over at this networking event? Should I be doing this deal? Like, come on, Warren, you and I both get lucrative opportunities that come our way all the time. Well, so-called lucrative opportunities.
Uh-huh.
And we can get excited by that. And this is where we have to check in on our own personal ethics, and I mean our core value. Well, I won't even say the word ethics. I mean our core values, which covers that as far as I'm concerned. Our core values, the things, when I say core, the things that you, Warren, you have certain things that are non-negotiable with you in your gut. You can't even logically supersede it, because you then can't sleep. That's what I mean by core value.
Right, right. I think those. Well, let's take a simple one. Let's take diet. I've decided long ago that my life is going to be richer what time I get here. If I just, there's something I eliminate and I'm comfortable with it. And there's a couple other things. No, I'm always going to eat candy. But to me, and again, my definition of hedonistic and where I've seen the words is the someone in a crack house deciding that, I got to have the candy and nothing else matters in life. Your use of the word hedonism or hedonistic seems to be a little bit more of, I'm going to look at my values, what is important, and then I'm going to make a decision based on that. And I think that's where we come together on it. I was troubled before. I'm still troubled as what word would I use instead of the hedonistic, or what word would I use to temper that? I don't have something at my fingertip.
Well, here's the okay. So any kind of uncomfort. This is, I don't know. Let's see how this comes out. It's sounding good as it's coming out, but we'll see if it lands right.
Right. We'll fix it in post if it doesn't come out right.
I look at you got to look at it this way, or I look at it this way: is that if there's uncomfort, if there's any kind of consternation, if there's a conflict, an internal conflict, it's because I'm not allowing something to naturally move forward. It's not, I think everything can be a real simple decision. Choose simple. Don't make something complex. Don't make something overwhelm. I've heard from, it's funny, I've worked with a couple of people, and it always rings true. Anytime I feel overwhelmed, let's see, I'm not sure I can lump stress in there, but overwhelm, confusion, something where it's like, you know, you can't breathe. You know that moment when you're so, it's like you can't, almost like you can't breathe. You feel constricted. It's there's holding on to something, and it's like, you know what? I don't want to say this because I'm being nice. Yeah, there's the problem.
Absolutely.
I'm really pissed off right now, or I'm bored, or I'm tired. And so when I say hedonistic, I mean I think a whole lot more of letting go of the polite, or letting go of the nice, or letting go of all of that. And I'm not just talking with other people. If you don't want to do that, great, but with ourselves. I mean, it's like sitting down and having it's like putting up with something and then going to complain about it. And I don't get that. Warren, I just don't get it anymore in my life. I mean, I see myself do it occasionally. I'll go to a conference and I'll get pissed, whatever, something will irritate me, and I'll leave and I'll go, gosh, I was really bored by that. And I think about it. It's not the conference's issue. That was me. No. I could have left earlier. I could have left. Stop bitching about it, Thomas. Let people have their moment, and you leave, because it's not them. It's me. Yeah.
And it's not even it's not a judgment, because you know, as I get older, I find out that a lot of my judgments are wrong, and I think that's where the admonition not to be judging people comes from. It's not that you know, the purest of, oh, I hate that person, they wear blue shirts, is you know, prejudiced and just silly. It's that your inner self, when you're saying, I hate that person, he wears blue shirts, instead of, if I have a choice, I don't wear a blue shirt. You know, it's like, you know, and assigning too much weight to it in yourself is where the problem is. And let's go back to my diet example. If I decide I'm going to eat dessert tonight, that does not define me. On the other hand, if I can't get through a day without eating the dessert, and I'm trying to use something a little bit tamer than, you know, being a drug addict in a crack house, where you'll reach a point where the chemicals take over, and you really can't make the sound longer term decision. But in the case of eating a dessert tonight, I think I can, you know, make a rational decision about that. And then the next problem is, well, I'm going to order dessert, but you know, what will everybody else at the table think? Is everybody else getting dessert? I won't get dessert unless everybody else gets dessert. And, you know, or everybody else is getting dessert, I'd better get dessert. None of that is profitable to you. What's profitable is, how do I feel about it right now? And how does this go on my values? And if you use that way to come up with what's good, you're getting at the right point. So let me see if I could draw back to exactly in the networking kind of thing. You know, there's got to be some measure that you can say when you sit down and say, I tried these 20 things over the last month. How do I go about ranking which ones are going to be okay? I think that goes beyond how much sales I got, how much enjoyable the party was. I think, you know, and while most of us end up making a lot more emotional decisions than we plan on, I think there are some rational things that make one event better than the other, and maybe not maybe, for sure you've hit number one. Does it fit your values? Do you feel good about what you're doing, and it's the right thing to be doing? And certainly the sales number gets in there. If I'm doing it for business and my sales are going down, I got to look and say which ones might I have to give up because of that, and what other things I could be doing it. There's a bigger picture than just sales or what feels good. And have we covered everything that somebody might want to take into account at deciding how much they want to connect networks?
Well, and you know, I've heard I gotta put a disclaimer in here, because when it comes to anyone listening and deciding whether something has a good ROI or not a good ROI for them, any activity, is that here's the deal: if something is working for you, keep doing it. I'm not here to tell you that what you're doing is right or wrong, other than if it's working for you, clearly it's working for you. If it's
Right.
not working for you, then listen up and try on something new. Allow yourself to look at this a little bit different way, perhaps the way Warren and I are looking at this today. So when it comes to, if you're going to a networking event and you need a really strong ROI, a financial ROI, or number of qualified leads ROI, that's perfectly fine. You and I just might look at it completely differently, and I think that is perfectly fine. If it's working, it's working.
Sure.
And one other clarification on core values. If you're wondering for a moment, just in case this is a new term for the folks that are listening, is core values, I don't think, have to be made into some big giant, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what my core values are. You might not have spent the time and been introspective or gone through any process of determining, well, what are my core values? That's okay. I'm going to give you a cheat right now, a really simple cheat. And that means is, if you are confused, overwhelmed, I'm not sure, or I don't feel good about spending the time that I'm spending at this networking meeting, dealing with this person I'm dealing with, or going through a certain process, I suggest that it might be because it's running counter to your some core value. You may not know exactly what that core value is, but it doesn't dismiss that we each have core values. That's why they're called core values versus values that I seek to bring into my life. Warren and I have core values. Even if we sat here and said, I don't know my core values, I couldn't tell you my core values, it doesn't mean we don't have core values. Because core values are something that are born, bred, it's just there. It's in you. You can't deny it. I can't fake it. I can try to, let's use the example of you're working for a company and you're a salesperson. And you go out there and they say, hey, listen, you got to make 100 dials today. And you got to shake 100 hands. And good, bad, indifferent, I don't know. What's your experience going to be? And you go out there like, oh, gosh, I always feel like I have to be so fake. It takes me so much energy to make it happen. Well, something is probably going against one of your core values. It doesn't mean that it doesn't produce results, though. Could you fake it for a long time? Absolutely. Can you do it to make the check? You better damn well believe it. That's not a problem.
Sure. Well, and sometimes that is, I think that's cool because you said fake it, and it's the old fake it until you make it. My boss may be happy that I make the 100 dials, or that I pick up X number of business cards at the networking event or whatever like that. I wouldn't value it that way. I'd value it on the long term, what I can do to help those people. One of the interesting things that came up in the class on grants was we were reviewing grants. And the example we had to do with some piece of history on VHS tapes that somebody wanted to get transferred into digital formats, and they filled out the thing. And reading through it, in hindsight, I have a different feeling. But as I was reading through it, I'm going like, somebody would give money to get this done? What are you talking about? I had no clue what the base material was. Why did they want to preserve the things that was on the tape? And interestingly, we had a guy who was a decision maker in that, and he said that when he's evaluating it, he knows better than to look and decide how worthy it is on other terms. Now, he wasn't saying that there are projects that get funded or that are a complete waste of time or not. What he was saying is that in the process of evaluating whether somebody's going through the right process, put the money to good use, that it's a completely separate thing as to whether or not that's valuable. And that gets to frames of references. Your boss may be happy that you pick up 100 new business cards from people, and he'd be certainly happy that those turned into sales. But on your values, what's the difference? And the epiphany I had while I was listening to this guy talk about the grants was that there may be, in the 12 hours of tape that they were looking to get processed, there may be 15 minutes on there that'll become a piece of something else when it's available digital, that we may all be watching it online for something, and it may change history in some way because it wasn't marketed properly the first time that it came out, or it just wasn't timely at the time. And here it is 20 years later, and this thing may become something that's vastly important in the future. How many thousands, millions of dollars do we spend, you know, exploring and researching and finding out things, sending expeditions to do something that, you know, on the surface may wind up being just a total waste of money, and here was a chance that something could be preserved, and, you know, the assumption was that if this conversion thing didn't happen, it wouldn't be preserved, it would be thrown out. Is that worthwhile or not? From there, I went and watched Monuments Men last night, and sure enough, you know, there's a lot of people looking at those things differently. But it's hard to come away from watching Monuments Men without thinking that there was a whole lot of good that came out from what the work was that they did. But at the time, they faced opposition too. People saying, "Why are you wasting time on this?" So the guys doing it never questioned the value of it. And I think that's the important lesson I got from all of this, including what you're saying today. When you set when you get in tune with what your values are and they resonate, it makes sense to the network. And furthermore, back to the title of what we were saying today, if I can't find somebody in my network that's going to be able to help somebody in your network, whether or not I ever actually find them or I'm trying to, I can't think of a much more profitable activity. Again, I can't recommend that everybody spend all day doing that and you'll get what you want, but I'm certainly leaning that direction, that if you help enough other people connect, that you're building the network and everyone's going to benefit.
I agree with that one, man. I ditto that one. It's not going to come from just studying and studying and studying and reading and reading and reading. Get out there and talk to a few people, and because that one person can literally change your life. You know that. You know?
Right.
You may not know anything, right? You may not know, like, I don't even know why I'm even going to the meeting. I'm even going to the networking event. And it's like amazing.
So,
might meet somebody.
So today's assignment, as we close out, would be that you know, if you're listening to us and you've made it through the program, something of it here has resonated with you. Think about it. Leave us a comment if you have any questions at all. Feel free to reach out to either Thomas Mangum or Warren Whitlock. We're easy to find online. And then one more thing. Think about who you could share this with. Who is it going to resonate with besides you, and where can you build a relationship by sharing this or anything else that you find today? And we'll see you next time. Bye.